Welcome to Star Wars Blog 63. Now, despite my best intentions, it took a while to put another one together. Maybe I'm just getting lazy in my old age. Perhaps not. Let's begin, shall we? Now let's start off small and work our way up. The LEGO line of Star Wars toys has delighted me ever since they came out. I don't have a lot, but I did decide to buy these little guys to go with what I have. Now, the LEGO Mandalorians and the LEGO Clones. Really, there isn't a lot to say about these. They are the cheapest of the line to buy since they are basically army building packs. They are just a fun addition to the collection that can be set just about anywhere. From Season 3 of The Clone Wars comes Heavy, a rookie clone in training gear. Now, while Filosi and the gang are screwing around with the timeline and, other destructions to our mythology, the animation team are coming up with good characters and looks which translate perfectly to the toys. Heavy has a great look, despite some grumblings from other collectors, and honestly, I don't know why. His armor, while being training gear, seems far more advanced than the actual clone armor, but then again, we are all witness to the ineffectiveness of the armor anyway, right? The only small complaint I have is the helmet's visor. Not that it is horrible, but with the thick yellow plastic, it gets a little tough to see his face. In the cartoon, it was clear with a tint to it rather than an almost solid yellow piece. But who cares? That is a minor issue on an otherwise flawless figure. No scrunched legs, arms, and torso. They are almost perfectly proportioned. Since there aren't too many variations on the clone figures, Heavy is an amazing addition. And here's a character who has really just made a few rare appearances in his clone gear in the Clone Wars television show, yet will likely become a collector's favorite. Commander Wolffe has one of the best head sculpts in the entire animated line, a sculpt that rivals many portraits in the realistic styled line, and his blue clone armor is spectacular. Now, he's a rehash of parts that we have seen time and time again in the Clone Wars basic figure line, using Rex and Cody pieces, but Hasbro knows how to utilize their catalog of parts to bring us fresh and new characters without the line becoming stale. It says a lot that Hasbro has been able to bring us so many takes on the clones since the line began in 2008. Honestly, we should be tired of seeing clone after clone, but between the concepts created by Filoni and company and the execution of them in the toy line, clone commanders and their battalions are an exciting staple for collectors, and we don't see the pace slowing down anytime soon. Now, his helmet does not fit well over his head, but that may be for the best. It will force us to display him without it, showing off his awesome injury. Not only did Hasbro perfectly capture his injury, they have captured the expression on his face even better. Wolffe has pouty lips and a concerned expression, thanks to perfectly angled eyebrows. He doesn't look happy, yet he doesn't look angry, and a slight expression of worriment that so many of the clones have experienced in the television show. In addition to his DC-15 blaster, he also comes with that hug-over-the-shoulder cannon that shoots a projectile. And then he, of course, comes with two small pistols that fit into the holsters on his Kama. The weaponry is stuff we have seen 100 times before, but Clone Commander Wolffe pulls them off well when holding them. He is super articulated, so you have great flexibility in the way you have him posed with his various artillery, and he can even balance the large gun on his shoulder without a fight. Now, the Vintage Collection held some great finds this time around. I like that they are doing these, but I think they should stick only to doing the figures of the film that is celebrating its anniversary, which in this case is The Empire Strikes Back. Now, despite my annoyance going outside this tight line, I bought whatever ones tickled my fancy. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these, but suffice it to say, none have disappointed me. We got a new version of Dak Ralter, Luke's harpoon gunner, in his first remake since 2002's Walmart exclusive Snowspeeder, which also included Luke. And with the new AT-AT coming, Hasbro has made sure to up the ante on everything else in this line. I also landed an Episode 4 R5 unit, which I always liked, and now I have several versions of. I also picked up a Revenge of the Sith Yoda, because I like Yoda. A problem with that, have you? I'm sorry. And I snagged an Anakin and Padme from the Attack of the Clones, and an Empire Strikes Back Luke in Bespin fatigues, which just might be the best figure ever. This Luke is one that buckled my knees just seeing it there. The best likeness and the greatest attention to detail ever seen in a 3 3/4 inch line figure. Now, from the 2009 Legacy line, yes, you heard me, 2009, I picked up Malakili. Malakilaki is Hawaii, say Merry Christmas. Anyway, on the clearance rack at Walmart for $1. Now I finally have one to throw in with the Jabba's Palace whenever I get to rebuild my collection room. This rather good figure of the emotional Rancor Keeper will stand watch as Luke defeats his beast over and over and over and over. You get the picture. The Hidden Enemy set is a rather lackluster Target exclusive, but I always want more clones, so I'm a sucker for them every time. With an overall meh attitude toward these, it brings another Rex, which uses the 2008 clone body that we all know is a good sculpt, and 3 clone troopers looking very much the same, only different. Sergeant Slick, the two-toned hair color clone, Clone Trooper Chopper, the buzz cut clone with the necklace, and Clone Trooper Gus, the bald clone with soul patches, are all wonderful additions to your clone army, and to be quite honest, it's great to put names to such generic-looking Star Wars characters. Names are all part of the personality of these clone troopers, and it brings some color to their very white persona. You'll be happy once you get this Cad. Oh, you Cad. Okay, seriously, it really was a word now. He's a character. You'll be happy once you get Cad Bane into your collections. A beautiful paint job and enhanced articulation are only the beginnings to what makes this figure superior. And this time, he doesn't ship alone. He comes packed with Todo 360. Hasbro made great strides in making this version of Cad Bane the best yet. There's more free-flowing movement throughout the figure that was once inhibited by his complicated bounty hunter outfit, and everything being cast in plastic. The first and most obvious difference is the new Cad Bane figure is huge and dwarfs the previous versions. The difference is actually quite shocking, but the changes didn't stop there. He has new blaster pistols that are very pliable, but are bigger and fit like a glove in his holsters. He also comes with a separately molded satchel that fits nicely across his chest, and it is well sculpted. His all-new head sculpt is brilliant. He has a sneer on his face, and you can see all the evil welling up behind his eyes without pupils. And who doesn't love Todo? Seth Green, doing his best Anthony Daniels impersonation, made this a lovable little droid. So, what does this next Cad Bane figure bring to the table? Actually, you'll be pleased to know quite a bit. He comes without his trench coat, and we actually get to see a better view of his upper body. Cad Bane has a very lean but muscular build that was easily overlooked on the first figure. Hasbro did a great job on maintaining the integrity of the original basic figure into this new line to help with the overall continuity. It succeeds in every way. He still comes with a removable cowboy hat that I love. He also comes with a removable satchel, which is reminiscent of an old mail bag, which further solidifies his unique Western look. His functioning holster for his pistols hang close to his body and maintains a nice drape when he is placed on the speeder bike. While he doesn't have ball-jointed ankles, Hasbro added them in his knees. With a wide but not dramatic stance, Cad Bane can straddle his bike without issue and sit on the bike to look more authentic than most other action figures do on their respective bikes. In particular, Cad Bane's hands couldn't have been sculpted better to hold onto the handlebars. Now, this may seem insignificant, but it's important to us and the overall aesthetics of this set. The Freako Speeder, short for freezing cold, won't knock your socks off, but it is a great little vehicle with a few cool features and unprecedented accuracy to the ones we saw in Trespass. The canopy slides forward and can seat the included clone trooper quite well, and the landing gear, although curvy and slightly awkward, work quite well to keep this vehicle in a landed position. The clone trooper is a repaint of 2010's The Clone Wars Captain Rex, Clone Wars figure number 50, with a new paint scheme which accurately reflects the generic troopers in the Clone Wars episode. The figure is extremely well painted, and it's actually a shame Hasbro didn't decide to get this figure into the basic figure line for quick army building. Interestingly, they decided to continually reissue Captain Rex. We really need only one of him. Speedering along with another figure is the Mandalorian Warrior with Speeder Bike, a real treat in the deluxe line. Now, this may be the first deluxe figure that will interest those that don't normally collect this line. As a figure, it borrows most of the parts from the totally awesome pre-Vizsla figure, making it completely anonymous by not giving him a removable helmet, which I love. And this is particularly refreshing because we feel Mandalorians are one species of people that work much better without removable helmets. Well, Jango Fett is pretty cool with a removable helmet, but alas I digest. The awesome thing about the Mandalorian Warrior is his incredible body design and beautifully dark paint job. He is super articulated with ball-jointed hips, and this choice alone makes this figure too awesome for words. He is very dark collared from head to toe and has white on his helmet that really breaks up the and can hold them whenever needed to fight any foe. Most of the upgrading on this beauty has occurred in the cockpit, but there have been enhancements made elsewhere too. The bay that holds the bombs now has the capacity to hold 6 of them instead of 3, so that's a big deal. There's also now a sliding hatch that can close once all the bombs are loaded. Oh, and those bombs, instead of them being clear with bright orange centers, those centers are now baby blue and look significantly better. The bombs are activated by turning a rotation device that is actually part of the ship's bombing hull. And with each turn, a bomb falls to the surface below. There is also a projectile in front of the bomber bay half of the vehicle that is activated by a large square button on top of the ship. And because Hasbro designed this button so well, it truly looks like a natural part of the vehicle. But I'm also excited about the revised cockpit. The cockpit is a dream come true for us because it can now, barely, swivel and can function like an ejector seat, which is something awesome in the retooled TIE Fighter and Interceptors from the Legacy Collection. It really works to the Imperial TIE Bomber's advantage. While the ship comes with no pilot to navigate it, it's no big deal. We should all have plenty of those pilots by now. One of the best mail-away figures in all the modern line. I just can't believe that Hasbro has shown us big love by creating a promotion of this nostalgic value for such a big bunch of whiners. Don't be offended, I'm saying this with a smile. While we can expect Boba Fett to be everything that it is and more, collectors will likely be surprised to learn that it is an all-new sculpt. Whether or not Hasbro made a cast of an original vintage figure and tweaked it, or digitally scanned it and added their own modern spin to it, it is a fact that this mail-away figure has new features that are different from its ancestor. If you have sent off for one or more of these babies, then you're in for a real treat. We finally have that coveted piece of history in our collections, something Hasbro calls the Holy Grail. And it will definitely become and remain one of our most favorite pieces in our collection of all time. Even though this new Boba Fett differs from the vintage version, Hasbro has faithfully replicated all the sculpting details and paint jobs rather well, and with this figure blew by your eyes somewhat quickly, we would wager that you wouldn't be able to tell them apart from each other. Just like the original vintage figure, Boba Fett is top-heavy and falls backwards even more easily with his enhanced rocket firing feature. But we are confident most of us will bite this bullet since we have wanted this figure for so long. When this arrived in the mail, I ran around the house like I was 14 again. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. The Force Unleashed for the DS, yes, the first one, I'm a little slow here, was a good eBay purchase for $5. It's an enjoyable version of the PSP and Wii and other platforms. The PSP is still my favorite, and the Wii version just made me mad by not having any better graphics than the PSP version. but the DS version has me enjoying the gameplay all over again. The OK graphics for the DS, I don't expect much out of it, and easy gameplay make this an enjoyable little time waster on the go. Knowing how to keep the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy running at peak performance just got a lot easier with the Millennium Falcon Owner's Manual. A great new way to see the cross sections. This book is tapped as being 3D. As you turn the pages, another slice comes off, showing you all those special modifications. A fun book to have around. In fact, my wife was the one excited about this. She bought it on her own, with no influence from me, slowly turning her to the dark side. The Sounds of Star Wars by Ben Burtt is an amazing treat to audiophiles. Packed with Burtt's sound effects, you are prompted with codes as you read. Punch in the code and hear the sound as you read the description. Amazing, and with headphones on, you get great clarity and you don't disrupt anyone else.
And now, the end is near, and so I face the final curtain.
Actually, I saved the best for last. We all enjoyed the big Millennium Falcon from a few years ago, and Hasbro has been doing the same thing ever since. Not always to that scale, but close. The TIE Bomber is slightly larger. Jedi Starfighters have changed a bit and grown slightly. But the best new release to hit is just BA. And what does BA stand for? Bad Attitude. The gigantic re-release of the AT-AT is absolutely amazing. Standing over 2 feet tall, this is a behemoth. We're to begin explaining how awesome this new Star Wars vehicle is. The head of the AT-AT is spectacular, with the capability to fit a lot more than 2 action figures. You can almost set up a miniature diorama right in the cockpit. You can have 2 AT-AT driver action figures steer it, while having General Veers or another AT-AT commander stand behind them and study the view screen on the multiple targets ahead. The whole body of the AT-AT will provide for unlimited play options. The entire section is basically carved out and has multiple levels to store and stand figures inside. If I went through every detail in this review, you would be here all day. But in the middle section, there are 3 levels and many platforms on which you can set various Snowtrooper action figures. The rear of the AT-AT stores a speeder bike. And this is a little awkward that it shoots out backwards, but it is a cool feature nonetheless. If you purchased the 2008 Legacy Collection Hoth Speeder Bike Patrol Battle Pack set, this is your chance to dig it out and develop the expanded universe portion of this toy. Purists of the film may not be too crazy about this option, but I have to admit it's still pretty cool. In the middle of the body, arms attached to the gears extend out, and tied to them are ropes which serve as some sort of elevation system, which explains how the Imperial Army gets itself into the vehicle. This is another cool and clever explanation for something we didn't really have an answer to until now. The Imperial soldier stands on a small platform and then gets pulled up inside the body of the vehicle. And it's a long ride up. Deep inside the middle section of the vehicle, you will find ladders, railing, and steering devices. All these parts work in tandem with each other to create a very believable Imperial environment. This is the perfect off-screen detail that seems as if it could have appeared in the movie as is, sort of like the earliest mini-rigs. The AT-AT is loaded with tons of electronic phrases that mimic the sounds and dialogue we heard in Episode 5, in addition to a whole bunch of new sayings as well. This is great stuff, folks, and the play value that it brings is immeasurable. My complaint, and you know it's coming, the overall look. They paid such great attention to the Falcon that I thought they would do the same here, and they did not. It is a very light gray with really weak weathering effects. Now, there are some decals to put on, but they are as weak as the collar of the beast. But not to be put off, this is amazing, awesome, stupendous, crazy cool, awe-inspiring, and I could go on and on. But I won't. I bought this one since it was on clearance. I have the retro packed version that I bought last year, but this one was for opening and playing with. Again, a simply amazing piece to add to any collection. Well, that wraps up another exciting adventure into the collection de Star Wars. I hope everyone is enjoying their own collections. I need to make my way around to my friends' pages and view and comment more. Filmmaker Mike, AD Gooby, Darth Prime, Wampa Slayer 111, Kuzmalf, Darth Tater, Vader's Revenge, Darth Tom, Sith Lord, Dark Scout Dave, Star Wars Nut 77, and all the others that I failed to mention. You guys are all awesome, and I will visit and comment soon. Sorry for the lack of commenting, though I have been watching. I've also been asked about collection room tours again, and unfortunately, those are not going to happen again until we're in a house of our own rather than renting. But when that happens, I will be back at it, new and improved. I hope to be back soon, though as we all know, the summer is the dry spell for Star Wars bits. Until August, but who knows what one may find when looking. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you. Peace. This is the helmet's visor. Damn it. No scrunched legs, armo, and torso. Armo? Heavy is an added blah blah blah. Alright. That is a minor issue on an otherwise flawless figure. Showing off, okay. It will force us to display him with... really? This figure blue... Hasbro has faithfully replicated all the... Just like the original vintage figure, Boba Fett is a... Just like the original... That's how stupid I am.